Actually, that's
Hello viewers, it's your half-assed reporter James Kalm, the guy on the bike. But I'm not on the bike tonight because first of all, it's raining, and second of all, this is Midtown and I didn't want to risk my life to get up here for an opening. We're going to run into the Anton Kern Gallery here on 55th Street and we're going to look at an exhibition by Chris Martin, 1979 to 1994. Okay. Well, gosh. Stanley Whitney, Steve DiBenedetto. Oh, there's Chris. Well, I missed Chris's last show here. Not because I planned it, but it's just, hello, Nora Griffin. It's a little hard for me to get up here to Midtown. And, well, I knew I'd be able to catch something else here. Oh gosh. We got the Williamsburg contingency out there, Kathy Bradford. Natalie Provocative, E.J. Hauser. Well, I just did some historical recon with Stanley Whitney about his location on the Bowery. Okay, we're going to start out looking at this piece. It's untitled 1997 oil on canvas, 24 by 18 inches. Hello. Well, I thought this was actually kind of ironic because I've seen some of these paintings years ago at a show that Chris had at it was at the Cochrane Institute down in D.C. and the title of the show was Painting Big or Painting Large, something like that. Michael Berry Hill. This is a nice one. Chris Martin, 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 10, 1986 to 1990. 16 by 14 inches. Now, one of the things that I always find interesting about Chris is that, well, not only is he a wonderful painter, but he's always thinking about different ways of extending the paintings into actual space. So with this piece, we've got a, excuse me, we've got a stretchy bar that's probably about 3 inches thick on there. And he's done other things where he's actually had the paintings kind of come out horizontally on the floor. This is untitled 1988 to 1994 oil on paper on canvas. Well, this is very typical of the, oh gee, I don't know, maybe a 10 or 15 year series of works that Chris was doing. I think in a certain way they were inspired by Al Held. And yeah, Chris was just trying to boil everything down to very simple black and white geometric forms. And they just say that this is oil on paper on canvas, and I was wondering, it almost looks like encaustic. This is Sphinx. 1986 oil on canvas 16 by 14 inches. This is a great example of his kind of boiled down fundamentalist forms. They almost get to some kind of almost a primordial geometry. And also Chris works on these, some of them over years, and probably scrapes off a lot of compositions underneath them, keeps working on them, enhancing them, changing them a little bit. This has got a really wonderful surface, and yeah, I was saying that he's known for the big paintings, but I really think that there's a certain quality of his paint handling that you can only appreciate on some of the smaller, more intimate, more pick up and walk around with size of paintings. Oh, gee, there's Phong and Chris. These guys go back a long way. Dueling video camera here. This is titled Cellar, 1982 to 1985. Oil and roof cement on canvas. Okay, so this is kind of what I was thinking about, that there's a lot of weird mediums and things that Chris paints with. And that's one of the other things I kind of like about what Chris does. So this is Untitled for Bill Jensen. Oil on canvas, 1979, oil on canvas, 16 by 20 inches. And, well, that 16 by 20 inch dimension in a lot of people's minds is kind of the perfect small painting size. There's actually been a couple of, maybe even a series of exhibitions here in New York over the last 5 or 6 years, and it's all called 20 by 16, something like that. And, oh gosh, sneak in there and bomb Chris and Phong talking about the painting.
Samuel Palmer and wow, somebody else, I can't read. Eugene.
Well, you can go back in the files and Chris, I did a video studio visit with Chris, I don't know, this is maybe 8 or 10 or 12 years ago, and it's still one of the most popular programs that I've recorded. This piece is titled 5 Minutes During March 12th, dedicated to Samuel Palmer, whoever Samuel Palmer is.
He was a disciple of William Blake, a great landscape painter from around the
a British mystical painter?
British mystical painter.
Okay.
Who was one of the ancients who gathered around William Blake. They were young artists, and Blake was an old man living on the Thames and making his watercolors for Dante's Inferno.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
He was an inspiration for you?
A big inspiration.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep looking at this. I was going to say I've always enjoyed Chris because he's a very mischievous guy, and normally he's known for his huge paintings. These small paintings are wonderful, but he also does goofy things like uses loaves of bread, slices of bread, coats them with plastic, does paintings on them. I know I was over looking at the studio and you were working on some big paintings, and you actually spread out the canvas on the roof of your studio space, and then you went upstairs and looked out over the canvas from a fire escape like 2 stories above to kind of pick out your compositional things. And
that's true. The roof is a good place to work. Yeah.
And the pigeons get to help out with the whole project as well, right?
Absolutely.
That's all good stuff. Okay, I'm going to keep running around looking at the paintings. Maybe I'll snag Chris for some more chatter. This is Untitled, 1979 to 1980 oil on canvas. It's another 16 by 20. And I think I got to know Chris maybe in the late 90s. Phong had curated a show. Let's see. I think he was dealing with Albert Pinkham Ryder, another kind of iconic, mystical New York painter. And I bumped into Chris at that show, and we sort of found out that we had similar shared aesthetics. And one of the other people that Chris and I admire a lot was Alfred Jensen. So at one point we got together and with Phong and went out to New Jersey and visited Alfred's wife, Regina Bogart, who actually had a show last night I went to see. Anyway, it's a wonderful palette, you know. It's not like he's painting with pure colors. They're all a little muted, a little toned down, a little skewed towards the tertiary. But I think Chris has always had a real sense of these kind of simple, fundamental compositions. This is titled Griffin, 1980 oil on canvas, 16 by 20. Well, it's been a lot of fun for me because, as I said, I was kind of bumped into Chris in maybe the late 90s and became a fan. Even at that point, he was kind of a legend in the Williamsburg art scene because, as I said, he was working on these huge, mostly black and white paintings. And I guess this is about the same time that he was also working at an AIDS hospice. Anyway, I followed his career. I actually helped him install. He had an exhibition at a space in Williamsburg called Sideshow. Wonderful guy that ran it passed away, I guess, about a year ago. His name was Richard Tiamperio. Anyway, I helped Chris. Well, actually, I was a spotter. Chris got up on a ladder and was bolting this huge painting on the wall there. And I kind of stood below the ladder and got ready to catch him in case he came off the wall. This is titled Psilocybe, 1981, oil on canvas. Well, I guess psilocybe would refer to the mushrooms. And, well, I've actually got a pretty nice Chris Martin mushroom painting myself that I have in my living room. I look at it every day. That's not to say that Chris would be encouraging anyone to break the law or indulge in psychotropic brain stimulation, but I think, Chris is part of the 60s, 70s generation. Maybe he was a kid and just kind of picked up those influences. This is titled 1 through 7, 1989. Yes, it is. That's what it says. Or it says 1-7, so I would assume that means 1 through 7. Acrylic on canvas, 17 by 13 by 4 1/4. And here Chris has left the canvas pretty much raw. You know, he's got a lot of his own personal codes and things. Now, I don't know whether that's the date, maybe so. 4/12/05. Also, maybe we'll go back and ask him about some of his numerical things. Hey, was talking about Samuel Palmer, and I think Chris is one of these people that is intrigued by the hermetic, the obscure, the mystical. Kathy Bradford.
How many shows of Chris Martin have you photographed?
How many shows? I don't know,
I think
3 or 4.
17.
3 or 4, but I've gone up and done sessions where he's had a lecture that he gives at Hunter, that was it, and a couple of other places, yeah. So that, I guess, counts. How are you doing, Kathy?
I'm just loving this. These are old friends to me. I remember all these paintings.
And you've known Chris for how long?
50 years.
How long?
I'm not very good with numbers.
Did you say 15 or 50?
I said 50.
Really?
Yeah.
So you met him before you were born somehow? You guys are
Yeah,
like
something like that.
in utero together somehow?
Anyway, you know what's interesting about these? Chris wanted to be a wild guy, and so he would not clean anything up. Like he'd leave it all like this for an example of how.
I was admiring that. I love the surface.
Yeah. And then as he got older, he cleaned things up a little bit.
That's what happens when you get old. Thanks, Kathy.
Just let's answer your history.
Okay, well, we're going to catch the final piece of the show here. Okay, well, they don't have this one listed in the gallery guide. One smoke from the pipe and tasted like Rembrandt. Okay, I can't read upside down very fast. In the burning studio. Well, okay, this hits all the bases for me. So we've got our thick stretcher, we've got our text. It's a very kind of distressed worked surface, and the text kind of swirling down through there. I don't know, but I'd estimate this is probably about 18 by 20, 20 by 18. This has been James Kalm reporting on Chris Martin, 1979 to 1994, here at Anton Kern Gallery. You can like this, share, post it at your social media sites, and you can leave your thoughts, ideas, comments, criticisms, and reviews below. We just ask you to say thank you, Chris, and most importantly, thank you, Kate. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
What do you call that instrument?
It's a shamisen.
Shamisen.
Yeah. And this one is from the northern part of Japan.
Okay. And that
Tsugaru shamisen.
the pick you're playing with looks like an window scraper, an ice scraper. Okay.
That's really good. That's a perfect
Yeah. Thank you.